Our world is a library of stories, written in stone, soil, and bone. For as long as we have walked this earth, we have been explorers, driven by an insatiable curiosity to understand our past. We dig, we sift, we analyze. We piece together the grand, sprawling narrative of human history, one discovery at a time. But what happens when a chapter is missing, or when a page is written in a language we can't comprehend? What happens when the story doesn't make sense? Throughout history, humans have dug up things we can't explain. Anomalies, paradoxes frozen in time. These are the artifacts and accounts that sit on the fringes of our understanding, challenging the neat timelines we've so carefully constructed. They are the ghosts in the machine of archaeology, the static on the frequency of our accepted past. They whisper of forgotten technologies, of lost knowledge, of possibilities that our modern sensibilities struggle to accept. And sometimes those things stare back, not with living eyes, of course, but with an unnerving presence, a silent challenge etched into their very form. It's the gaze of a figurine with impossibly large eyes, or the silent scream of a skull that doesn't fit our evolutionary tree. It's a feeling that washes over you in the deep quiet of a museum, the sense that an object holds a secret it will never tell, a story that died with its creator, leaving us with nothing but questions and the unsettling feeling of being watched across millennia. From relics that defy technology, objects so complex they seem to belong to another time, another world entirely. Think of gears so precise they shouldn't exist for another 1,000 years, or batteries that predate the very concept of electricity. These aren't just curiosities, they are fundamental contradictions. They force us to ask, were our ancestors far more advanced than we believe? Or are we missing a crucial piece of the puzzle about how knowledge is gained, lost, and sometimes rediscovered, to creatures that science insists don't exist, beings that crawl from the pages of folklore and into the blurry photographs and eyewitness accounts of today? We call them cryptids. From the depths of the coldest oceans to the shadows of our own backyards, these creatures represent the ultimate unknown. Are they simply misidentified animals, products of overactive imaginations, or elaborate hoaxes? Or does our planet still hold giants and monsters in its uncharted corners, living relics of an age of wonder and terror, completely indifferent to our disbelief? Today, we're not looking for easy answers. We're not here to confirm your beliefs or to debunk them. We are here to explore the gray area between fact and folklore, between evidence and interpretation. We are opening the cold cases of history, the files that have been stamped with a question mark and filed away. We're diving into the mystery files that make historians lose sleep. These are the stories that keep archaeologists up at night, pondering the limits of their own knowledge. They are the puzzles that remind us that for all our progress, for all our science and technology, the past is a vast, dark ocean, and we have only just begun to explore its shores. What we find there can be brilliant, it can be baffling, and sometimes it can be terrifying. So, take a deep breath. We're going in. Take the Saqqara Bird, discovered in Egypt, carved from wood thousands of years ago, and shaped suspiciously like a glider. Coincidence? Or did ancient engineers know something about flight that textbooks don't mention? Then there's Japan's Dogū figurines. Some say fertility icons, others say ancient astronauts in spacesuits. Either way, somebody had imagination. Now, let's talk cryptids. The word itself, derived from the Greek kryptos meaning hidden and zone for animal, conjures images of monsters lurking in the shadows. Cryptozoology is the pseudoscience dedicated to finding them, the creatures that slip through science's fingers, existing in the blurry space between folklore and biology. It's a field populated by blurry photographs, breathless eyewitness accounts, and a whole lot of wishful thinking. But before we dismiss it entirely, let's remember, history is filled with mythical beasts that turned out to be real. The giant squid was a sailor's tall tale until we found one. The okapi, a zebra-striped forest giraffe, was just a local legend until explorers confirmed its existence in 1901. So, with a healthy dose of skepticism and a dash of curiosity, let's open the case files on some of the world's most enduring and enigmatic cryptids. Our first stop takes us to the most inhospitable place on Earth. Case file number 1, the Ningen. Location: the frigid southern ocean surrounding Antarctica. The story begins not in ancient myth but in the early 2000s, filtering out from Japanese whaling research vessels. The name itself, Ningen, is Japanese for human, and the descriptions are deeply unsettling. Witnesses claim to have seen a colossal, pale white creature, estimated at 20 to 30 meters long. It's described as having a vaguely humanoid shape, sometimes with recognizable arms, legs, and even 5-fingered hands. These sightings are almost always fleeting, a glimpse of a smooth, blanched form gliding beneath the waves, or a shape briefly surfacing in the ship's wake before disappearing into the icy depths. The legend exploded on the internet, fueled by anonymous forum posts and a handful of grainy, ambiguous photos and videos. The evidence quality? Extremely low. There's no physical proof, no clear footage, only third-hand accounts and digital artifacts that are easily faked. So, what are people actually seeing? Skeptics point to a long list of plausible candidates. The disorienting, monotonous environment of the Antarctic is a perfect breeding ground for pareidolia, the brain's tendency to see familiar patterns, like human forms, in random shapes. A strangely formed iceberg, a drifting piece of sea ice, or even a rogue wave could be misinterpreted in the low light and harsh conditions. More likely, it could be a simple misidentification of known marine life. A pod of pale beluga whales, a giant squid near the surface, or a large ray could all, for a moment, appear unnervingly humanoid from a distance. The Ningen remains a ghost in the machine of the internet, a modern myth for a digital age, haunting the world's most remote waters. From the ice of the Antarctic, we travel to the searing heat of the Gobi Desert. Case file number 2. The Mongolian deathworm. Local name, Olgoi korkoi, or the large intestine worm. This is not a new legend. It's a creature deeply embedded in Mongolian folklore. For centuries, locals have spoken of a terrifying beast that lives beneath the sands. The descriptions are consistent. A thick, blood-red worm, 2 to 5 feet long, featureless except for a mouth at each end. It's said to be so toxic that merely touching it means instant death, but its most feared abilities are its ranged attacks. According to legend, the deathworm can spit a stream of yellow, corrosive venom that blisters and kills on contact. As if that weren't enough, it's also said to be capable of discharging a powerful electrical shock, strong enough to kill a camel, or as the original story goes, ruin everyone's travel plans. The creature reportedly hibernates for most of the year, only emerging in the hottest months of June and July, often after rainfall when the ground is wet. Despite numerous expeditions by Western adventurers and cryptozoologists, armed with everything from dynamite to ground-penetrating radar, no one has ever produced a single shred of physical evidence. No body, no skin, no venom sample. So what's the explanation? The most likely candidate is a species of sand boa, or a large limbless lizard, which could be mistaken for a giant worm. The tales of acid and electricity are likely folkloric embellishments, cautionary tales to keep children from wandering into the dangerous, unforgiving desert. The deathworm remains a powerful piece of local lore, a symbol of the hidden dangers lurking just beneath the surface of the vast Gobi. Our final case file takes us back in time, to 18th century France, and to a cryptid with a confirmed body count. Case file number 3, the Beast of Gévaudan. Location, the former province of Gévaudan in south-central France. Between 1764 and 1767, this rural forested region was gripped by a reign of terror. A creature or creatures described as a bet, or beast, launched a series of brutal attacks, primarily on women and children tending livestock in the fields. The official death toll is staggering, with historical records documenting over 100 fatal attacks and dozens more injuries. Eyewitness descriptions were terrifying and strangely consistent. They spoke of a creature the size of a calf, with a wolf-like head, a massive chest, reddish-brown fur, and a long, powerful tail. It was said to be unnaturally intelligent and cunning, ignoring livestock to specifically target humans, often attacking the head and neck. The panic was so widespread that King Louis XV himself dispatched professional wolf hunters and soldiers to deal with the menace. Several large wolves were killed, including one enormous specimen shot by a local hunter named Jean Chastel in 1767, after which the attacks finally ceased. But the mystery didn't end there. The body count and the specific nature of the attacks still raise eyebrows. The official explanation is a pack of unusually large and aggressive wolves, but other theories persist. Some suggest it was a hybrid, a wolf-dog crossbreed, which would explain its size and lack of fear of humans. Others propose a more sinister explanation. A human serial killer, perhaps training an animal like a mastiff fitted with an armored hide to carry out the attacks. Unlike the Ningen or the deathworm, the Beast of Gévaudan was undeniably real in its consequences. It wasn't a myth, it was a historical crisis. The only question that remains is what, exactly, it was. A freak of nature, or something far more human and disturbing. These creatures, whether born of the internet, ancient folklore or historical panic, represent the untamed corners of our world and our imagination. Science keeps trying to explain them, to pin them down with logic and evidence. But sometimes, the search for answers only creates more questions. Just ask archaeologists who once thought the city of Troy was a myth, until they found it buried under centuries of dirt. So, where does this leave us? We stand in the flickering torchlight of the present, peering back into the deep, unlit caverns of history. We've looked at artifacts that defy easy categorization, stories that stretch the limits of belief, and patterns that seem too strange to be coincidental. It's tempting to want a single, definitive answer for everything. A neat label for the Saqqara Bird, a clear purpose for the dog, a definitive identification for every shadow that moves in the periphery. But the truth is, history isn't a finished book. It's a live excavation. And maybe, just maybe, we haven't discovered all the answers yet. Or, perhaps more unsettlingly, maybe we have found some of the answers, but we're just not ready to believe what they imply. The human mind craves order. We build frameworks of understanding, scientific, historical, cultural, and we expect new discoveries to fit neatly within them. When something doesn't fit, like a gear-driven computer from ancient Greece or a perfectly aerodynamic-looking carving from a pharaoh's tomb, our first instinct is often to dismiss it. We call it a ritual object, a ceremonial toy, a fluke. We explain it away, because accepting it at face value would mean admitting that our framework, our understanding of the past, is incomplete, or worse, that it's wrong. It's easier to shrink the evidence to fit the theory than to rebuild the theory to accommodate the evidence. But history has a funny way of vindicating the persistent, the obsessive, the ones who refuse to accept the conventional wisdom. Just ask the archaeologists who, for centuries, dismissed the city of Troy as pure myth. It was just a setting for an epic poem, a fantasy dreamed up by Homer, a magnificent tale of heroes and gods, but nothing more. A story. Then along came Heinrich Schliemann in the 1870s. A businessman obsessed with the Iliad since childhood, he believed the stories held geographical truths. He took Homer's text as a literal map and, against the advice of the entire academic establishment, began digging in modern-day Turkey. His methods were brutal, destructive even. He blasted through layers of history, searching for the one that matched his romantic vision. And what he found shocked the world. Not one city, but a layer cake of 9, built one on top of the other over millennia. He may have misidentified the exact layer that corresponded to the Trojan War, and his claims were often exaggerated, but he proved the fundamental point. Troy was real. A place of legend was found buried under centuries of dirt and disbelief. A myth became fact, forcing historians to redraw their maps of the ancient world. This is the true adventure of exploring the unknown. It's not about blindly accepting every theory about ancient aliens or lizard people. It's about maintaining a healthy skepticism, not just for the unexplained, but for the explanations themselves. It's about having the courage to ask, what if, and the discipline to then seek out actual proof. The line between a fascinating possibility and an established fact is drawn with evidence, rigor, and the willingness to be proven wrong. The goal isn't to believe everything, but to wonder about everything. It leaves us with one final humbling thought. As we sit here, sifting through the fragments of bygone eras, trying to piece together their beliefs and their technologies from what little survived, what will future archaeologists make of us when they dig through the digital sediment and compressed ruins of our civilization? What will they get wrong? Will they find our plastic toys and declare them religious idols? Will they interpret our server farms as temples to forgotten data gods? Will they look at a smashed smartphone and see a mystical scrying mirror? What obvious, everyday part of our lives will become their most baffling, inexplicable mystery? You've been watching Random Asp Facts, where history, mystery, and chaos collide. If you enjoyed diving into the beautifully strange, do us a favor and hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share this journey with another curious mind. And now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, which historical mystery or unexplained artifact fascinates you the most, and why?